Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets the King of Malaysia on his country's National Day and the Presidents of the Kyrgyz, Trinidad and Tobago republics on their country's independence anniversary. Dozens are killed and others wounded by the continuous Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip. And Muscat Stock Exchange's main index hits its best level in nearly 8 years as the market capitalization approaches 30 billion Omani riyals. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq has sent a cable of greetings to His Majesty King Sultan Ibrahim of Malaysia on his country's National Day. His Majesty the Sultan also sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Saidar Japarov of the Kyrgyz Republic on his country's independence anniversary. And His Majesty sent a similar cable to Her Excellency President Christine Kangalu of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on her country's independence anniversary. The number of Palestinians killed by the Israeli army in the Gaza Strip since October 7, 2023 has surpassed 63,000. In a press statement, the health authorities said 59 bodies and 244 wounded had been brought to hospitals in the past 24 hours. They added that many victims remain trapped under the rubble as ambulances and civil defense crews struggle to reach them amid ongoing bombardments and a shortage of resources. The health authorities also reported that 5 people, including 2 children, died in the past 24 hours from starvation and malnutrition, raising the total link to food shortages to 322, including 121 children. Meanwhile, Gaza Civil Defense said at least 48 Palestinians were killed yesterday by the Israeli army in various parts of Gaza. The UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, warned yesterday that Israel's intensified military operations in Gaza City could put about 1 million people at risk of forced displacement. European Union foreign ministers today were deeply split over the war in Gaza, with some calling for the EU to apply strong economic pressure on Israel, while others made clear they were unwilling to go that far. Kaja Kallas, the EU's foreign policy chief, said she was not very optimistic that ministers could agree even on a proposal she described as lenient, as it is less severe than other options to curb Israeli access to an EU research funding program. Many EU governments have criticized Israel's conduct of the war, particularly over deaths of civilians and restrictions on humanitarian aid. But they have been unable to agree on impactful EU political or economic action. The European Union is Israel's biggest trading partner, with trade in goods between the two amounting to $49.9 billion last year. European Commission officials say they proposed the measure to send an initial signal to Israel, and because it does not need unanimity to pass. Support from 15 countries would be enough if they represent 65% of the EU population. A Russian attack on Ukraine's Zaporizhia killed 1 person and injured 24, including 3 children, according to local governor Ivan Fedorov. Fedorov said 14 residential buildings were damaged and remained without power and gas supply. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Moscow had used preparation time for a meeting of leaders of both countries to launch new massive attacks on his country. The Ukrainian Air Force said it had downed 510 of 537 drones and 38 of 45 missiles launched by Russia in an overnight attack. The global cholera situation is worsening with outbreaks across 31 countries and a surging fatality rate, according to the World Health Organization. Given the scale, severity, and interconnected nature of these outbreaks, the risk of further spread within and between countries is considered very high. The UN Health Agency said the deteriorating outlook was driven by conflict and poverty, with rural and flood-affected areas especially vulnerable to the disease, and acute intestinal infection that spreads through food and water contaminated with bacteria. Between January 1st and August 17th, the World Health Organization tracked 409,222 cases and 44,738 deaths reported globally. Cholera can kill within hours when not attended to. It can be treated with simple oral rehydration and antibiotics for more severe cases. Still to come in our news bulletin. A groundbreaking British-based AI technology catches the attention of U.S. manufacturers. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Muscat Stock Exchange's main index hit its best level in nearly 8 years last week amid growing confidence, a rise in the number of transactions executed, and a market capitalization approaching 30 billion Omani riyals. The main index of the stock exchange rose last week by more than 100 points, closing at 5,062 points, recording its best level since January 2018, benefiting from the rise in shares of banks, energy companies, a number of industrial and investment companies, and petroleum product marketing companies. Credit Oman's performance witnessed a growth by 15% in the volume of Omani and local insured sales, with a total value exceeding 211 million Omani riyals by the first quarter of the year compared to the same period in 2024. Omani exports secured by Credit Oman witnessed a remarkable growth of 14%, with a total value exceeding 120 million Omani riyals compared to the same period last year. The general import price index in the Sultanate of Oman rose by 1.2% during the second quarter of this year compared to the same quarter of the last year, according to the latest data issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information. Statistics showed a 13% increase in the prices of the group of oils, fats, and vegetable and animal waxes, followed by the group of machinery and transportation equipment by 9.6%, then the group of food and live animals by 4.8%, while the group of miscellaneous manufactured goods rose by 3.5%. The Pass By Us campaign concluded in the Special Economic Zone at Duqm. The campaign aimed to promote the region's tourism assets and introduce visitors to the region's beauty and diverse activities. A number of poets from the Sultanate of Oman and the State of Kuwait presented poems during the conclusion ceremony. The event also witnessed traditional chanting activities and children's shows. The closing ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Engineer Ahmed bin Hassan Al-Dib, Vice Chairman of the Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones. After 45 days of diverse activities and events, Al Jabal Akhdar festival in the governorate of Al Dakhliya was concluded. The festival witnessed a large turnout and contributed to boosting tourism and achieving multiple social and commercial dimensions. Around 250,000 visitors attended the festival to get acquainted with its various activities, which enriched the economic movement of the wilaya of Jabal Akhdar. A UK-based novel use of artificial intelligence is attracting the attention of US manufacturers with what it says is a technological solution to the country's labor and skills shortage. Here is a report.
Cloud NC, a UK-based technology company, develops AI-based programs for CNC, computer numerical control machining, a critical process in modern manufacturing used to create precision parts for industries ranging from automotive, nuclear, and healthcare. Despite its importance, CNC machining has traditionally depended on outdated software, requiring skilled operators to manually program machines with thousands of instructions.
Cloud NC is an AI company that builds software that tells metal-cutting robots how to carve blocks of metal into useful shapes for industry, which is something that is done to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars around the world every year. Literally everything that is made, the things you hold, the planes you fly in, the submarines under the sea, those products all start in a machine that looks like that. And our software makes it much, much easier to run and control these machines.
Cloud NC's technology cuts manufacturing time by approximately 80%, providing a viable solution to the skills gap confronting the industry.
So the problem that we have in the West is not enough people to run these machines, and that problem gets worse every single year. It got a lot worse when the Liberation Day tariffs said we're going to bring $30 billion worth of machining back from China alone into the USA. But where are the people to make that thing? We can't train them fast enough, it takes years. So the only way to fill the gap is with software that makes the people that we have able to produce more things.
The global focus on revitalizing U.S. manufacturing has intensified, particularly following policy changes aimed at bolstering the sector by bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., driven by import tariffs. Cloud NC's technology is already helping more than 100 U.S. manufacturers and is poised for substantial growth.
This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets the King of Malaysia on his country's National Day and the President of the Kyrgyz, Trinidad and Tobago Republics on their country's independence anniversary. Dozens are killed and wounded by the continuous Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip. And Muscat Stock Exchange's main index hits its best level in nearly 8 years as the market capitalization approaches 30 billion Omani riyals. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night, and we hope you've had an enjoyable weekend.